Oh my goodness, what have we done? Oh man, it's good. Whew. Hello, I'm Paul, and this is Paul Plays with Fire. I was at the store today, and some fella comes up to me and says, "Hey, Paul Plays with Fire. You want peppers? I'm stripping the garden right now and I got a ton of peppers. You know what you should do? You should make stuffed peppers." So I guess we're making stuffed peppers today. But not just any stuffed peppers, but Southwestern stuffed peppers, all the beans and corn and such. So I've already got a fire started. Let's get busy. To start with, we're going to take our cast iron skillet and put some about a pound of ground beef. And onto that, you put a little salt, a little pepper, a little ground ancho, and a little cumin. Stir that all up. And we'll get to work on the next ingredient. First up, we're going to cut up some onions and some garlic. I started off making peppers like my mom did, with hamburger and rice and tomato sauce, and they were delicious. And then as an adult, even as a young adult, I always had a garden, and so I always had peppers around this time of year, and it was a great way to use them up. In the late 80s, there was a restaurant in town that was run by a Serbian family, and they had a stuffed green pepper dish, but it was more of a soup. It was like a stuffed pepper served in a tomato soup, and it was, oh boy, it was so delicious. I miss that place. I'll make that someday. I think there might even been some mashed potatoes in there, so it was right in my wheelhouse. Okay, we'll go add these to the meat. The meat looks like it's doing well, so we can go to the garlic and the onions. Whew, that's hot. Okay, moving right along, we're going to add a can of tomato sauce, a can of diced tomatoes, a can of green chilies, some grained canned black beans. Ooh, that's looking good. And a cup of rice that we cooked earlier. That's a cup of cooked rice, which would be a half a cup of uncooked rice. Well, I hope it all fits. And now we'll just cook that till everything gets warm. Won't take too long. Whew, time to put on my welding gloves. And even though that rice is cooked, it'll continue to soak up those juices. Okay, let's get to work on those pepper cups. And I've also added some corn, some homemade frozen corn, and some cilantro. Now we're going to stir that all in. Okay, to prepare these peppers, first thing we're going to do, we're going to cut the peppers so that they lay. We're not going to do stand-up pepper caps because I think that's just wasteful of pepper. We do them casserole style, where we split them in half. After we find out which side lays the best, I guess that will have to do. Because you want it to lay kind of flat, but then they will rest against each other. And as gracefully as possible, get all that membrane out of there. And then we put them in the pan. Well, if we can, we'll put them kind of end to end so we can put pepper across, or we can put the stuffing across both sides. I first started making these Southwest pepper cups, 10-15 years ago or so, I suppose. It was kind of a nice little variation from the regular stuffed peppers that I've been having for years. And I've even made a meatless before. You get the beans and the corn and the rice and the peppers and all the other stuff in there, and you really don't need meat. Don't let that get around, but I love stuffed peppers. Have all my life. And then, have I mentioned we're going to cook these in a Dutch oven on the fire? I suppose that was an important point, but yeah, we're gonna bake these like we're baking them in the oven at roughly 350, 400 degrees, depending on how much fire we put underneath them. That's a good looking pepper. We'll put some coals on top, we'll put some coals on the bottom, and it should be done in 40 minutes or so, but once that's in there, we don't have nothing else to do. And this is what they call one of them all-in-one meals. You know, by the time you get the peppers, the ground beef, and the rice, and the vegetables, and you really don't need anything else. Okay, we have our oiled cast iron Dutch oven up here, and we're just going to put the peppers in as best we can, kind of around the pan, I guess, kind of matching up ends where you can. I'm still figuring this out. Maybe we don't have room for all these peppers. We'll find a way. Okay, that might be it. There we go. Now we're going to take some of this gorgeous stuffing, and it is delicious. I could taste earlier, and it is absolutely delicious. And then just kind of fill those cups with it. And if any slops onto the floor of the Dutch oven, that's okay. And you don't have to be precise about it. It's not a delicate operation. Now some people like to blanch their peppers before they put them in. I don't necessarily do that. I like my pepper a little crisp. Now before we get all the stuffing in there, I'm going to put some cheese in, because it'll go down as it melts. And then I'm going to save the rest of it for on top once we get everything in there. I probably should have put in a little bit of this in earlier, but that's okay. I'll put a little more in. Once again, not a delicate operation. You don't have to be precise. It really is a casserole by the time I get done with it. Okay, and then we'll come back later when they're getting closer to done and top it off with some cheese. But for now, we're going back on the fire. Okay, I kind of made a ring of coals out here so I could set this down in a somewhat level spot and have some coals all the way around it. I took that extra piece of pepper and just tore it up and threw it across the top because it seemed like such a shame to waste it. And then put that lid on, tuck those embers right up around the edge there. Nothing on the bottom though, because apparently that will just make a burn. And then get some coals on the top, and we're shooting for 350 to 400. And I'll say that's about it. We'll see you in about half hour or so. Here's another important tip about cast iron cooking. You always need to rotate, and it's a two-part rotation. You rotate the stove by about a third every time, and then you rotate the lid, which also contains some heat, by another third. So that keeps the heat moving, because let's face it, the fire we're using, it's an imperfect beast. There are hot spots and cold spots, and rotating helps smooth that out. And I know I've mentioned this before, but this is a Stanley Wonder Bar. It's used in construction demolition, but boy, it makes a great pot licker. Okay, we have hit the half hour mark. Let's see what we have. I have dutifully rotated it every 5 minutes, and I've replenished the coals on top and the sides as needed. Oh, that looks beautiful. That looks gorgeous. I can see the cheese leaking out on the side, so we're going to add some more of that cheese to the top, and we're going to call it good. wasn't exactly how I planned it, but oh well. Somebody will get lucky there. See you in 5 minutes. Ooh, look at that. That looks really good. It's hot and delicious. The cheese is all melty and everything is gotten all melded together. We're going to give it a try. Oh my goodness, what have we done? We got a big old pan of stuffed peppers and they look delicious. Oh boy. We're going to try and get one out onto a plate. Yep, that's delicious. And I said casserole style. I really meant it. There you go, there's another one. Look at that. Hoo-wee. That's good eating. Okay, here we go. Stuffed pepper Southwestern style. We're going to garnish with a little scallions that I cut up earlier. Oh, that looks good. Here we go. Oh man, that's good. Whew. That is so good. Whew. Well, thanks for stopping in at Paul Plays with Fire. We're so glad you're here. Just remember to, if you can find it in your heart, to like the video and subscribe. Please, it helps us out a lot here. Thank you very much. See you next time.